Hey everybody, Billy Bob here, and I'm smiling today, right? A little bit better. I know when I did the preview of the Army-Navy game, I got a couple comments about why you look so glum, Billy Bob, why'd you look so sad? By the way, if you didn't watch that preview, I encourage you to go back and watch it. Even after the game's over, you'll see or hear some interesting tidbits about the game that you watched, some little nuance of different traditions and why things are the way they are and why the uniforms were the way they were, what they represent. So get the chance, go back and watch it. Facebook, YouTube, I think it was on TikTok and Instagram and maybe even X. So, by the way, make sure you hit the like button, right? If you're watching, whether it be Facebook, YouTube, X, some of them are a heart, some of them are a like button, thumbs up. Give it a go. It helps. It helps promote and get other followers or group members to our two groups, Billy Bob's Backyard Barbecue, which got some exciting news coming up about the Backyard Barbecue page. Just got to do a little more research, but I think we got some exciting news there. And also make sure you're watching the podcast page, which is primarily videos. There are a couple posts here and there, not shared posts, but things that I want to promote. So there you go. Here we are. It's Monday morning quarterback. It's college football edition today. Not a big week in college football, although there were some really big news, right? Certainly in Ann Arbor, the Sharon Moore story. We'll talk more about that later. I kind of wanted to let that settle and play itself out a little bit before I really got into it. We'll talk about what it means to be a Michigan man. What a joke. But we'll talk about that too. And of course, we had the Heisman Trophy Award presentation over the weekend. I thought it was a pretty good, it was a 1 hour, maybe an hour and 10 minute, but pretty good segment. You had Fernando Mendoza, who ultimately won the Heisman Trophy. Congratulations to him. Diego Pavia, that finished second. He brought his brother and his buddy, or his two brothers, the posse. They were walking into the event looking like they just came out of a mob movie. Sorry, that's the way it looked. I got no ill will against Diego Pavia, although apparently he had some ill will against the voters, the Heisman voters, because he made a pretty nasty post. I guess it was a kind of a spoof or something that Theo Vaughn, the comedian, had said, and he's now apologized for it. Said people tend to think he's arrogant and what's the other word he used? Kind of self-important maybe, but well, he does think he's all of those things. I mean, this isn't the first time you hear him talk. So he's cocky, but that was the other thing, cocky. Yeah. I mean, and you do have to have a little bit of cockiness to be a star, right? But you don't have to be an a-hole cocky. You just can be cocky. And also there was a video put out, Jeremiah Smith after the Biletnikoff Award, which was a little odd and strange for Jeremiah Smith, who's a pretty quiet guy, but it was kind of a saucy, or I don't know, it wasn't really, I didn't really dig it. Let's just put it that way. And then, of course, you had Jeremiah Love finished third in the voting, and Ohio State's very own Julian Sayin was fourth. So he made it to the show. And, the Buckeyes had three guys actually in the top 10 in voting. They had Julian Sayin, they had Jeremiah Smith, and Caleb Downs. So congratulations to the Buckeyes, to Ryan Day. Congratulations again to Fernando Mendoza. Congratulations to all four of the guys that were invited to New York. Jeremiah Love, great story. He overcame some things as a kid, some ADHD and a few other things where the parents just decided to let Jeremiah be Jeremiah and work with him, and it seemed to turn out pretty well, didn't it? Still early in the day. Got a little a little coffee in my Ohio State Tervis tumbler. Speaking of tumbling, Tervis tumbled. I don't know if they're back in the know or back in moving and grooving or not. But anyway, so we had one bigger bowl game. I think there was another bowl game. I think South Carolina State and Prairie View A&M played. That was looked like it was a pretty good game. I didn't see it. Looked like South Carolina State was up like 21-0, 21-3. Prairie View A&M came back all the way and beat them 40-38. So congratulations to them. But a game that was on Friday night, I only saw really about the first quarter of it. And actually, in the first quarter, I thought, wow, Boise State is looking pretty good, and this could be a real game. Of course, then I closed my eyes during a commercial, and they reopened about 4:30 in the morning, right? So, oops. However, all the action happened after my eyes closed because Washington scored 21 unanswered points in the second quarter to take a halftime lead at 24-3, and then outscored them 14-7 in the second half to win 38-10. Now, to be fair, the game wasn't even that close on the scoreboard because Boise scored their last touchdown with a minute and 18 seconds to go in the game. So the stats weren't great for either team. I mean, just taking a quick look at third down efficiency, Boise was 5 of 16, Washington 6 of 13. The yardages were pretty similar. Let me get rid of this one pop up here. All right. In fact, Boise had better time of possession, almost 32 minutes to 28 for Washington. Washington had more penalties, didn't gain as many yards. But you know what? Stats always don't tell the story because it was 38-10. Now, let's go to a game I mentioned just a little bit ago, the Army-Navy game, classic, the 126th playing of the Army-Navy game, back to 1890. And this game was back and forth. I mean, Army was up 16-7 at one point. Looked like they were going to take control of the game. But so it was 13-7 at halftime. Army scored 3 points in the third quarter, and then they were shut out. My understanding, I didn't see the splits of first half, second half stats, but my understanding is Navy, I know watching Navy really shut them down the second half, but they held Army to 1 first down in the second half. And who typically are the stars of an Army-Navy game? Well, it's typically the quarterbacks, right? And it's not for their passing, it's for their running. And the Army quarterback, Cale Helms, he was 5 of 10 passing, 82 yards. In fact, this is probably as many passes. I don't remember last year's game, but this is probably as many passes as that were thrown in an Army-Navy game, certainly in most Army-Navy games. You know, Cale Helms, 5 of 10, Blake Horvath, 7 of 14, 24 passes in the game. I mean, typically you might have 2 by one team and 2 or 3 by another team. But Horvath, 7 of 14, 82 yards. But here is the unsurprising thing. The quarterbacks were the leading rushers in both cases. Helms, 25 carries, 100 yards, 4 yards a carry. Blake Horvath, 34 carries, 107 yards for about 3.1 yards a carry. And then they actually had some pretty good rushing because they had 190 yards, Navy that is. Alex Texa, 50 yards. Eli Heidenreich, 5 carries, 28 yards. But Heidenreich was the star of the receiving at six catches, 72 yards, including the game-winning touchdown that put Navy up 17-16, which was the final, and that was fourth quarter score. What else do I have to say here? Duh. Let me see. All right, there was a couple other stat things. So Navy was really good on third down, 11 of 18. Army not so much, 3 of 10. They both were 2 of 2 on fourth down. Penalties, 5 penalties between the two teams. I mean, and Army had 3 penalties, I think 2 in a row or 3 in a row. They were all illegal motion, illegal procedure, false start, all combination thereof. And that actually was really, I mean, these guys are going to the academies, right? Discipline is their thing. So that was uncharacteristic, but 5 penalties in total, still pretty disciplined. By the way, Navy had 34 minutes of possession where they held Army to 25 minutes. Anything more of note? They both had 1 turnover by Army, 2 turnovers by Navy. I guess the last thing in summing it up is the 2 quarterbacks, they did not slide. If you watch the game, that's one thing that you should have noticed. These quarterbacks did not slide. They went into a play head on, and they took the full brunt. You could see bloody elbows, bloody arms, didn't see any bloody noses, but I'm sure those 2 dudes were sore, and I don't know if they had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning for drills. That'd be one thing if anybody knows that, do these teams have to get up? Well, they were in Baltimore, so Annapolis is maybe only about a half hour, 45 minutes away from Baltimore. West Point is definitely a little further away, so maybe they give these guys Sunday off, and Monday morning they got to get their butt back into it. Last thing we talk about is it starts. It starts this week. It starts Friday, and that's the college football playoff. And we'll talk about that. Maybe I'll do a live show on Friday. We'll see, because the first game is, I believe it's 7:30 on Friday night. Let's see, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. Of course, we got to wait till Billy Bob's about bedtime, so I'm going to have to take a nap. I got the JOB during the day. That'll keep me preoccupied for a while. But Alabama and Oklahoma play Friday night at 8 o'clock. That game's in Norman, Oklahoma. Let's see here. What do I want to say? It's in Oklahoma at Oklahoma Memorial Stadium. And then, of course, Saturday at noon, we got Miami at Texas A&M, College Station, Kyle Field. 3:30, we've got Tulane, the number 11 seed, at Ole Miss, the number 6 seed. So the theme of this is each of the higher seeded teams play at their home stadium the first round. That's the way it was last year, same this year. So that game is at Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi. And then lastly, a 7:30 game, James Madison, number 12 seed versus number 5 seed Oregon, and that's at Autzen, Autzen, Autzen Stadium in Eugene, Oregon, one of the loudest stadiums, they say, to play in. By the way, the first 2 games, Friday night and Saturday noon games, are on ESPN. The other 2 games, they sold off or subbed out, leased out to TNT. So that's Monday morning quarterback college edition. It's a wrap. America, land of the free because of the brave. Stay focused, America. Billy Bob, peace out.